It's a good day to brew, baby. What is up, YouTube? It's your boy Millzy, back with Hometown Commander, and we are back for another episode of Millzy Brews, the show where I brew my version 1.0 deck list of the commander in front of us on my quest to outbrew your favorite Magic channel. This week is Humans Week, and so we're brewing all decks for Human Tribal. We started out with 2-color and now 3-color, and now we get to 4-color. And I think this is an interesting deck because it does so many cool things. But let's introduce our commander and we'll talk about it. Aragorn, the Uniter, red, green, white, blue for a 5/5 human noble. It says whenever you cast a white spell, make a 1/1 human soldier creature token. Whenever you cast a blue spell, scry 2. Whenever you cast a red spell, Aragorn the United deals 3 damage to target opponent. Whenever you cast a green spell, target creature gets +4/+4 until the turn. There are a lot of ways to take Aragorn. Aragorn is a bastion of value. There's so many great things on this card. What I wanted to do is I wanted to keep it human tribal because I think we still have a lot of benefit, especially in these 4 colors. We get to take everything we just talked about yesterday or the other day in the Eowyn Jeskai precon, and we get to add in green, which means we get all of those great green-white humans or green humans into the deck to help us out. We also get some other fun things as well, which I'll talk about as we go. But the way I kind of looked at Aragorn was, we have it as our commander. It's a great body. It's going to help us out in combat because it's a 5/5. It's going to give us a ton of things, including that green buff, right? Those tokens, the scrying, the damage. But now we get to look at every creature or card that we play and look at it. Is it good on its own? And then what does it give us when Aragorn's out, right? So we have 4 abilities in Aragorn. If every card we play is going to give us something. Now, white is our central color, so we're almost going to always be getting some tokens, but every other card in our deck is going to give us other things. So starting at the bottom with our lands, landy lands, we're playing a pretty solid basis here. Again, this is something I brewed for myself, so I'm playing the fetch land package. What I love about this deck is your fetch lands give you 4 triumphs and then a bunch of shock lands, so you have lots of choices when you go to fetch. I mean, more often than not, we're gonna go for all of our triumphs first over our shock lands when we're fetching, but I don't think that that's wrong at all. We're playing our commander lands and our check lands. Since we have the fetches and the triumphs, we're almost always going to have basic land types out, which means our check lands become even better because we're always going to have those types out. And then we're playing the Cavern of Souls, City of Brass, Command Tower, and Path of Ancestry and Reflecting Pool for our gold lands that are going to tap for almost anything. I like the land base, and like I said, this is a deck I'm kind of brewing for the channel and brewing for myself to try out, because when I looked at Aragorn and I looked at Eowyn, I saw benefits in both of them, but I couldn't decide which I wanted more. So we're going to try both of them out, and maybe on the future in the channel, I'll let you guys know what I think of Aragorn, especially in the mana base. Well, getting up into the enchantments, this deck allowed me to play 2 or 3 enchantments I really would love to have played in Eowyn, and I think they get even better here. The first is Temur Ascendancy, blue, green, red, for an enchantment that says creature you control have haste, just flat out. And then whenever a creature with power 4 or greater comes in, we draw a card. Well, right, with Aragorn's ability, we're getting 3 different procs off of this, but this just gives the whole board haste. And I like this a little bit better than maybe something like Rising of the Day, which was an Eowyn's deck, because this is going to give us the haste and it's going to draw us cards. The second card is Rhythm of the Wild. All of our non-token creatures can come in with either a counter or haste. This is great as well, because we don't need them to attack. We can just give them a little buff. And also creature spells can't be countered. Well, again, here we get the damage, or if we don't get the damage, right, these enchantments are great on their own, even if we don't get the buff from Aragorn's ability, we still want to play both of them. And the third is Mirari's Wake. Creatures get +1/+1, and whenever you tap a land for mana, add 1 mana pool of any type that land produced. So, and lands kind of tap for double. And again, get the token and get a buff with Aragorn. So as you can see, the goal of some of these enchantments are get things from Aragorn, but if not, get value. So in Northern Procession, we're going to double the amount of tokens we're making. We have a lot of things that make tokens. Even Aragorn makes tokens. So why not double up on those tokens? Broker's Ascendancy gives everything a +1/+1 counter in our turn, so we're going to kind of get our board tall. But it's also, think about it, Broker's Ascendancy for 3 mana with Aragorn out, right? +4/+4 token scry 2, and then we get all the benefit from it and that. Exploration, in these 4 or 5 color decks that play the Triumph packages, I always like to play Exploration because what we can do is put in an extra tap land if need be, or dump a land from our hand. We can also play another fetch land or whatever it may be. I think Exploration just does a really good job at getting more stuff out of our hand. Flowering of the White Tree, getting all of our legendary creatures +2/+1 and ward 1, and then non-legendary creatures get +1/+1. I love this card. Again, another great card for a deck like this. We're going wide. We're going to have lots of legendary creatures. We're also going to have lots of tokens. I think that was a good job. The one card that we couldn't play in AON that I really wanted to play was, and that I think one of those cards that spins me, there's a couple creatures as well that spin me towards Aragorn, is Garruk's Uprising, giving everything trample, and then drawing cards when something with 4 greater comes in, kind of like Temur Ascendancy. But that trample is going to come in handy, especially as we buff our board to Kingdom Come. And Tangible Virtue, +1/+1 and Vigilance for all of our tokens. I love it. We're making enough tokens in this deck between the creatures we have and Aragorn, so this is going to come in handy. Jeskai Ascendancy, whenever we cast a non-creature spell, creatures we control get +1/+1 and untap, and then whenever we cast on creatures, so we can draw a card. If we do, we discard a card. I love this card, and again, it's even better here because we get the benefit of the things when we cast it. Risk Study for the draw, and then Tithe for the mana. I ended up actually cutting Jeskai Ascendancy from Awen. It was one of those cards that everything inside of me wanted to play it. I just, for some reason, I found cards over it in the slot, but I think it'll end up going back in. It was just one of those things where for the first list, I needed to get it to a point where I could have somewhere to start, and this is one of those cards that was very clearly going to go back in at some point. Getting a bit into the mana, and we really aren't playing any talismans or signets because we need to be focused on a lot more of cards that are going to get us anything. Arcane Signet, Chromatic Lantern, Mox Amber, Relic of Legends are going to get us any mana. Soul Ring, because it just feels right to play Soul Ring in the deck. Coat of Arms is going to buff our whole board for how many humans we have other than that, which is great. This is a card that's going to help us end a game, especially with our trample enablers. Horn of Gondor can get us a ton more humans. I love this card, and it feels even better in a deck like this. Skull Clamp, we can clamp those humans to get some draw. And then the Reaver Cleaver, because it's going to help us get some mana. I just realized I thought our Aggravated Assault was in the deck, and it's not. But that would be another reason to have the Reaver Cleaver in. I will fix that. I'll fix that in after we're done recording, and Aggravated Assault will be in this list when you see it down in the description, or because that's kind of the point of having Reaver Cleaver, is having Aggravated Assault for 5 mana. We can get an extra combat. I'm not sure what to cut. I will cut something after we're done, but I want that interaction to be there, especially when we have things like this and things like this, but and the Relic of Legends. But like I said, I will fix that once we're done recording, and it'll be back down to 100 when you click on the link in the description. Okay, up into the spells, and the thing I like about the spells here is we can take advantage of more of our 2-color spells. Boros Charm, Eladamri's Call, Growth Spiral, Jeskai Charm. These are all multicolor spells that are giving us multiple things. This is a protection spell, Clever Concealment for the protection, Flawless Maneuver for the protection, Teferi's Protection for the protection of our boards. We got lots of protection still. Fierce Guardianship for some counterplay, Enlightened Tutor, because again, we have a lot of things we want to get. Reality Shift, Swords of Plowshares for some removal. I think we probably need a little bit more removal, but I wanted to keep our options open as far as what we have access to. Love Jeskai Charm. We're playing it in Awen, and it's even better here, given everything lifelink, but also we get all of this benefit when we cast it. Growth Spiral is one of my more favorite ramp cards at instant speed. Drawing a card and putting a land down, I guess it requires us having a land, but since we're playing Triumphs more often than not, between turn 2 and 6, a Triumph's going to get stuck in our hand, and Growth Spiral just helps because we can get it down. So I love the look of that. Coming up into the sorceries, Expressive Iteration is a really cool draw card. Lets us look at the top 3, put 1 in our hand, 1 on the bottom, then 1 we get to play this turn, and it's also going to let us scry 2 even before we do it, and then get that 3 damage with Aragorn. So I love that. For Aorlings, this is going to make us some tokens, help us go wide, and get some good stuff there. If we have a board's buffs out, this plus Garruk's Uprising or Temur Ascendancy could actually draw us a bunch of cards as well. Rather, the Hornburg makes some human tokens and gives them all our humans haste, which is great because we're only playing humans in the deck. So this is actually going to give all our humans haste. Supreme Verdict for a board wipe. Teferi's Karn's Temporal Sundering. Going to return a non-land permanent to its owner's hand and give us an extra turn. This can help us if our board's pretty wide, because this could help us, kind of end the game as far as combat goes. Bounce it back to our hand, get an extra turn, attack, untap for the next turn, attack again, and then Farseek Nature's Lore and 3 visits for some ramp. And the reason we're playing these 3 is this goes and gets anything but a forest. This gets forest, this gets forest. So these 2 can go get our forest triomes. These can go get any other land in the deck, preferably the triomes that don't have a forest on it, or we can get a triome with a forest on as long as it has any other type. But we're trying to get triomes with these and not just dual lands, because then we have access to more colors. Well, getting up into the creatures, and this is, I think, where the deck really shines over Eowyn. I think the humans that we get to bring into this deck that we don't get in the other one make this deck a ton more fun. We're playing Adeline just like Eowyn, getting the humans when we attack. We're playing not only Aragorn, King of Gondor, which we were also playing in Eowyn, a 4-mana 4/4 that when it comes in, we become the Monarch. And then whenever it attacks, up to one target creature can't block this turn, but if we're the Monarch, creatures can't block it at all. This is going to help us get in for some good damage. But we're also trying Aragorn and Arwen Wed. This was the starter deck card that we saw very early on. I wanted to try this one out, a 3/6 for 6 as Vigilance. And whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, put a counter on each other creature you control, and then you gain a life for each other creature. That seems like it's only beneficial. Again, this is a multicolored card, right? So it's still going to gain us some benefit off of Aragorn, but hey, get a +1/+1 counter on the whole board, gain hopefully a ton of life, because it's not each other creature that's attacking, it's each other creature you control. So the wider we go, the more life we're going to gain and keep ourselves going. Baragond of the Guard, one of the new cards that I absolutely love. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield, creatures you control get +1/+1 in Vigilance no turn. So we play a human or two, or make a human token or two in our main phase. Our creatures get Vigilance, and now we get a big ol' attack. Blade Historian is going to give all of our attacking creatures double strike, including itself. That feels pretty good, especially now that we have a couple ways to add trample. So I love it. I think it feels really great. Boromir, Warden of the Tower, a card that I would not stop talking about how much I like. It can shut down free cast spells for our opponents, and then when we can sacrifice to give all of our creatures indestructible. And that's a very important effect, because we're going to definitely get board wiped going wide. And so I think Boromir is going to do a great job at that. Champion of Lambhold is, in my opinion, the reason to play humans in this color combination. Creatures with power less than Champion of Lambhold's power can't block creatures you control. Whenever another creature comes in, we put a counter on Champion of Lambhold. All we need to do is get this thing big enough, and then our opponents can't block, and we will end games from that point. This is kind of like Aragorn in that sense, where this is just going to help us flat out end a game. And so I love Champion of Lambhold. It was a star in my Kyler deck, and it's a star here. Combat Celebrant to give us just a little bit of combats. I'm pairing this with Mirage Phalanx. This was a pairing I talked about in my Eowyn deck as well. Mirage Phalanx, when it soul bonds to a creature at the beginning of each combat, you get a copy of this and the paired creature. Well, you pair this with Combat Celebrant. Now you have a Combat Celebrant every turn to exert and give you another combat. And then we would have infinite combats at that point, as long as we have creatures that survive. And if our creatures are getting big enough with, something like Aragorn or Arwen, or putting counters across the board, or indestructibility, we could then just attack out for free. All we need is a Boromir, or we'll talk about other creatures that give our stuff indestructible or indestructible spell, and now we can literally attack ad nauseum. We're going to wear down all of our opponent's creatures and win the game. Hajar, Loyal Bodyguard, again, another one of these creatures that can sack to give all legendary creatures we control +1/+1 indestructible. 2 mana, easy body to come down. And then we can sacrifice it. Han Elena feels great. So great in a deck like this. It's 2/3 with first strike and reach, and then it gives out +1/+1 counters in haste at the beginning of combat. I love this because we can give something that doesn't have haste, but also we can just make something bigger. Those X +1/+1 counters, where X is its power, is going to get even better with Coat of Arms and some of the other buff effects we have. So add out a ton of +1/+1 counters, give haste. I love it. Inga Neska is another reason to play this deck, and I totally forgot this card was a human, and when I saw that, it made me delighted, because his creatures you control have Vigilance, so there we go, no tapping to attack, and then add 1 mana of any color, spend this mana to only cast a creature spell. And then, whenever you cast a creature spell, if 3 or more mana from creatures are spent to cast it, draw a card. Well, this is great, because then we can use all of our tokens to tap for a mana of any color to cast our creature spells, or get more creatures out. I love Inga Neska. It's not a bad body at a 4/4, and it's just going to end up drawing us a few more cards. Catilda, I think, is the poster child when it comes to humans and giving our creatures the ability to tap for mana. It says humans you control have tap 1 and add a mana of these creatures' colors. This is a little bit worse, because then all of our tokens are only tapping for their colors. But hey, that's better than nothing, especially if our tokens have haste or something like that. Now they can tap to help us cast spells, cast our protection spells, right? Most of our human tokens are white, which means they can tap to help us cast our protection spells, which is something we really like. King Darien from Dominaria United comes in, giving all of our creatures +1/+1 for 3 mana. We can put a counter on it and make a 1/1, which isn't as good, but it says we can sacrifice a creature tokens you control, gain hexproof and indestructible. It can sacrifice to protect all of our tokens. That's not bad either. If we wanted to just protect our tokens, we can do that with King Darian. Kyler, a commander I've talked about on the channel in the past, and a commander I really love. Whenever another human enters the battlefield, you put a counter on Kyler, and then other humans get +1/+1 for each counter on Kyler. This is a human that with a trample enabler is going to get out of hand for our opponents, and the bigger Kyler gets, the bigger our board gets, and I love it. This pairs really well with things like Aragorn and Halana and Elena, just putting counters on it, making our whole board bigger and swinging. Maya, Bird Guard Protector. Other creatures get +1/+1, and then whenever a land comes in, we get a human token. I love it. Again, this fits pretty well with even Eowyn, who's kind of one of our alternate commanders for the deck, and just getting us more humans to go wide. Rick is a card I lamentingly talked about in Eowyn, and we'll lamentingly talk about it here. I love Rick. Rick is an absolute powerhouse. I just hate the price cost for it. Thankfully, it's getting reprinted in Wilds of Eldraine, like we got the Stranger Things card reprinted in Streets of New Capenna. So it's going to be gettable. It's still going to be expensive, but it's going to be at least acquirable more than, of course, it is right now. When it comes in, you choose from First Strike, Vigilance, and Lifelink. Humans you control get 2 of those abilities, all of them. And then as long as you control 4 more humans you control get +2/+2. Rick is going to help us just gain a ton of life back, hit harder, and as I said, with one of those trample enablers, we're just going to hit like a mag truck. And I love Rick. I mean, it's one of those cards that, to me, when it comes to a human deck, you have to me, justify why not to play it, because it's like one of the single best humans you could play in a deck like this. We're trying out Samut, Voice of Dissent. Now, for the purpose of casting this spell, it would just be a red-green spell for Aragorn, but does have the white ability to tap and untap another target creature. But double strike, vigilance, haste. Other creatures have haste. There's another way to give all of our creatures haste. But hey, double strike and vigilance ain't too bad either on a 3 or 4 body. Sirach, Dragonclaw, giving all of our creatures trample. Here's another trample enabler for our board. Spell can't be countered. Creature spells you control can't be countered. So that's not bad. That's going to help us out a ton if we can get our creatures in without getting them countered. And then giving everybody else trample is great. He doesn't get trample, but everything else gets trample, and I think we're plenty okay with that because this is going to get us a lot of value. Tajik, Legion's Edge, 3 mana, 3/2 with Mentor, so if it attacks, put a counter on a creature with lesser power that's attacking as well. Prevent all non-combat damage to be dealt to other creatures you control. This is going to stop us from things like Blasphemous Act and those damage-based board wipes from getting us for everything except Tajik. And I think that's worth it. It's not a bad body with it having haste. It can give itself first strike, but again, it's 3 mana. It gets us 2 relevant abilities on Aragorn, and then it just protects our board from the non-combat damage. Theoden, King of Rohan. Whenever it or another human enters the battlefield, target creature gets double strike on a turn. We saw Theoden get built pretty cool on the latest episode of Game Nights, and I think Theoden's a really cool card. It's going to end up giving you a lot of value. I'm excited to try it out in a couple of these humans decks. Torrens, Fist of the Angels with trainings. Whenever this creature attacks and with another creature with greater power, we put a counter on it, and then whenever you cast a creature spell, we get a 1/1. Soldier with training, human soldier. So you can see we're starting to get these even more token synergies with other cards. Tori Davenant. Whenever we attack, everybody gets +1/+1. Other red creatures get trample, and other white creatures get untapped. And we're playing a decent number of red creatures, so this is going to help us out, dole out trample as well. Aomer, Marshal of Rohan, 4/4 for 4 with haste. And this is whenever one or more attacking legendary creatures you control die, untap all creatures you control. After this phase, there's additional combat. This is great because it's going to get us, hopefully, a combat when we need it. Or at minimum, what this is going to do is it's going to tell us, our opponents, do you want to block? Do you want to block this legendary creature? Because if you do, you're going to give me another combat, and that could potentially help us get into situations where our opponent just don't want to block, and we get some good damage. And Eowyn, Fearless Knight, whenever it comes in, we exile a target creature an opponent controls with greater power than Eowyn, and our creatures gain protection from that color until end of turn. I made a caveat in the Eowyn video, and I want to re-mention it here. One, it's power greater than Eowyn, so if we have any buffs out and Eowyn comes in, she might not be able to target a creature, which would be kind of a bummer, but that is what it is. It has haste, so that's cool as well. But the second part is, it's the creature's colors. So the example I gave was, here's a perfect example. Samut is a red-green creature. If we exiled Samut, we would only get protection from red and green and not white, like its activity ability says, because the easiest way to see this on a card like this is, you see in the frame, we have green and we have red here. There's no white in this frame, and that would show you exactly why that's the case. So this would be a red-green card, whereas it also has white. And the example I gave in that video, other video, was Kenrith the Return King as a white creature, but it has activated abilities of other colors, making it a 5-color commander. But this would only give us protection from white. And then we're playing Eowyn Shield Maiden, the commander of the deck we talked about a day or so ago. At the beginning of combat, if another human entered the battlefield this turn, we get 2 tokens with trample and haste, and then we draw a card if we have 6 more humans. I love this card. It's a great secondary commander in the deck, and it's going to give us a ton of good value. So that is my main slab to start with Aragorn. I'm going to test it at 101, and like I said, I'll make the cut of the card because I don't think the one card's not going to matter in the grand scheme of things for the deck. So opening hand, love it. We see a Triome. We see 1, 2, 3 check lands, and all 3 of these two check lands, and both of them come in untapped off of this Jetmir's Garden, and we have a great land there. We have Broker's Eye. I love the hand. Great start. Let's get the Jetmir's Triome in tapped because it has to come in tapped. Turn 2, we can put this in untapped, right? Because we'll probably have enough opponents. But let's put the Hinterland Harbor down because we have the green, and with nothing yet, everything we have is at 3. So I think I'm content to sit there. Here we go. We have another check land. Put the Root Band Crag down, and we'll get the Relic of Legends down. Turn 4. Now this is where we need to pay attention to the board. We can get this Sulfur Falls down. I can hard cast Aragorn at this point, but the question becomes, what does the board look like? Does the board make sense to jam in here, or do I jam something like Kyler down, right? And then next turn start putting some more humans down. I think that's what I might do just to get Kyler working because Kyler is such a great card. Now, turn 5, we have a 6 mana. Now, Aragorn is 4. If we play Aragorn, we can't play anything else. We could play Maya and get that working as well, but I think I will slam Aragorn here. We unfortunately don't have anything. Oh, we do actually. I apologize. We do have something to do because that would be 4 mana. We can tap this and our creatures for mana. So I actually would like to do is get this Broker's Ascendancy down as well. This will start our counters game going. But what this will do is get us a token and scry 2. So we scry Intangible Virtue and the Reflecting Pool. I would really like this to go. Reflecting Pool is a great land. I mean, maybe we put that on top as well. And I like the Virtue. So I think these both just go back on top. We'll put the Reflecting Pool back on top first. I love it. There's a perfect scry too. We know exactly what's coming. Next turn, we play the Reflecting Pool. We have all of our colors. So Reflecting Pool is great. We have 6, 7 mana plus the mana from our legendary creatures. Here, I probably go Maya. Actually, I probably should have played Maya before I played the land, but that's okay. This gets us a token and +4/+4. We'd probably put that on maybe Kyler, because then Kyler only gets the buff for counter. So maybe on Aragorn, and then maybe get this Chromatic Lantern down. And now we have a decent attack here because this has gotten the counter last turn from Broker's Ascendancy. So this is going to be huge. This is a 10 or 11 at this point with that ability. So we would attack in here and going one more turn. We get that Virtue we saw. We play the Virtue, get another counter. We play and that gives another counter on Kyler. We play the Éomer, which has haste. This puts another counter on Kyler. We play the Gondor, and we might even be able to tap it if I've done my mana right. Let's see, 4, 6. That's these 2 tap. Let's see, probably tap Maya and tap Maya for 3, and that would be enough for Gondor. And then now we just made a ton of more humans. This buffs Kyler up, and now we're swinging with a giant board of humans. So that just goes to show you what the deck can kind of do on that start. Let's go one more playtest. All right, opening hand. It's a 2-lander I don't really love, but it has a Soul Ring, so we do have the access to a little bit more mana. We could potentially play Inga and Eska turn 3, sorry. Turn 2. We could play Inga. No, wait, it would be turn 3. I'm going to try to mulligan that one, see if we can get something a teeny bit better. Here we go. 2-lander. I don't love this one either, but we do have Catilda, and we can play it turn 3. That was our free mulligan. And I kind of want to do it again. We'll go down to 6 if need be. Oh, okay, here we go. A lot more lands. We will bottom. Let's bottom. I want to bottom the Plowshares. Don't really want to bottom Eowyn or that. But let's just bottom Clifftop Retreat, I guess. Because we do have a decent amount of mana, so I'm not as worried about it. All right, turn 1. Let's get the command tower down. I actually just realized, no. We need to put the Triome down so we can get Rootbound Crag down untapped. Turn 2, Rootbound Crag. And now we can leave this on our opponent's turn if need be. Turn 3, we get the command tower down, get down Torrents. So now we can start getting those tokens when we cast creatures. Turn 4, spectator seating, and now we get Aragorn in, and that gives us the token off of Torrents. Turn 5, no land, but that's okay. I think we go with Eomer. Hope maybe we can exile something, maybe we don't, but this gives us another token, and this gives us another token here. And then next turn, Wooded Foothills, we can crack this to go get more than likely another Triome. Let's go get, what's the first Triome we see? Jet Mirrors. We'll go get it, put it in tapped. I guess I could have got a Shockland there for Eomer, but I didn't have another human come in. So let's just get the Gondor down, and then we would go ahead and attack. This turn, I think I would probably, let's see, do we shock in the Stomping Ground? Because we have the 5 mana, we didn't have another. Oh, think about it. If we cast this, the human comes in. So let's do that. Let's put it in tapped, cast the Eowyn, we get a human off of this, then we get the 2 humans in combat and attack. And then we're missing some sort of payoff for combat. But now we have the Intangible Virtue. We can tap the Gondor, get a bunch more humans, again, swing in and attack. Oh, Mirari's Wake. Okay, so this turn we play the Mirari's Wake, and again, get a token off of Aragorn, swing in and attack. So you could see that we're missing some maybe consistency. Maybe that's something we realize more we're testing, as we need some more of these combat enchantments to help us out with certain things. But as you could see, the goal of the deck is get the humans, go wide, and do stuff. Let me know what you think of Aragorn down in the comments. Like the video if you like the humans content, if you like Aragorn. Subscribe if you want to catch me brew some more decks. We've got a lot more coming over the course of Lord of the Rings and the rest of this year with Commander Masters and Wilds of Eldraine and Doctor Who. I'm excited for all the content coming this year. But other than that, I'll catch you guys next time.